He thinks he's gonna finish me on the feet. Well, get in line, bitch. Every opponent I've ever had has had the exact same fucking game plan. What the fuck makes this bitch think he's any different? That's all it took for it to be personal for me. Fuck him.
What up? What up? All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Garbage to Gold podcast. I have with me Marcus Nelson, amateur, potentially professional MMA fighter. Are you professional yet?
No.
Still amateur fighting?
I would consider myself a high-level amateur. I fight high-level guys, experienced guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff like that.
So where are you fighting at tomorrow?
Tomorrow night I'm fighting at the Shrine Mosque in Springfield, Missouri.
And what's your weight class that you're fighting at?
Well, funny you ask. It was a catch weight at 150. I usually fight at 45. I'm eventually going to drop down to 35. I showed up. I weighed in at 147.2. My opponent weighed in at 157. So he has to weigh in tomorrow at 11 a.m. And he has to weigh 152 tomorrow. So he's got to cut again.
So what happens if he doesn't make it?
If he doesn't make it, then I'm most likely not competing on the show tomorrow.
Okay. You guys can come on. It's all good. So we got some people shuffling in and out. We're right here at the gym.
It's a
Honey
gym,
Badger
baby.
training facility here in Rolla. They're having, night class on a Friday night, getting everybody ready for what's going on tomorrow. Just like a typical, jiu-jitsu gym, they do class every day and, teach people how to choke the shit out of somebody.
That's what we do.
So if you're not familiar with Honey Badger training facility, Jason, last name, Jason, what was it? Jason Powell, duh. He is the owner, operator, founder here. And how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu, Jason?
Since 2008.
2008, so well over 10 years. Awesome. And you're coaching Marcus tomorrow? You be in the corner? Who else is in your corner?
Well, my main corner man will be out of town. He had a pre-scheduled stuff, but I'll have a Gavin Jewell in my corner. He's a good training partner, one of my sparring partners. So he'll be working with me in the back, and he'll be helping out, carrying buckets and whatnot, being pretty much Jay's assistant, me and Jay's assistant.
Is there a limit to how many people you can have?
Two for amateurs.
It's only two?
I think it's 3 for pro.
2 for amateurs, 3 for amateurs with a title.
Okay.
There you go. He knows more than me.
Awesome. So, have you been doing anything different to prepare for this, for this opponent, or do you kind of?
I slightly adjust my approach for all of my opponents. It's the same every time. We train for everyone like they're world beaters, but we're students of the sport. I study all of my opponents. I study every single. We're not gonna go in blindly. Sometimes it's harder to find footage than others. Sometimes we have more of a game plan than others. But we always adjust. We train for what their strengths are. We train to beat their strengths. We train to put them in bad spots. Everyone thinks I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, right? Let them think that.
Right.
Let them think that.
I was gonna say I think you're more of a wrestler, just in the small bit of time that I've got to train with you. But you do a lot of striking as well. Is that what you started with and then got into jiu-jitsu?
I actually started striking before jiu-jitsu. I've done, by this point in time, I've probably done more jiu-jitsu than striking. And I'm obviously known for my jiu-jitsu as opposed to my striking, but no, I very much have striking, and I love striking. It's very passionate about it.
When did you start fighting, and what was the striking style that you originally started with? Did you go to like a karate gym? Was it a Muay Thai gym, Taekwondo?
I went 2 months to a gym in St. Louis, so I'd scratch that experience off of my back, and Jay pretty much built me up from the ground up with Muay Thai. Muay Thai is our striking base.
How long have you been training with Honey Badger and Jay?
Oh, since February of 2021. And I was out. 6 months in, I broke my leg, so I was out for 6 months because I re-injured it, obviously, and had to restart my healing process. So I was out for 6 months. So I'll be almost 4 years of time, 3.5 years of training come February next month. So about 3.5 years of gym time.
3.5 years of gym time. Yeah, and you train every day. You treat it like a job for the most part.
5-6 days a week. That's how I started. Most guys, they start 2 or 3 days a week, and that's how I would recommend people to start. I came in and trained 5-6 days a week. I trained until I couldn't move anymore, and then I was just tired every practice, dying. I came in off the couch. I wasn't in shape. I wasn't an athletic high schooler.
Right.
worked construction my whole life. So I had good work ethic, and that translated over. But just came in, died every day, and then one day I just wasn't tired at practice, and
Right.
then that's how I knew I was in shape.
Right. Yeah. There's if you've never done jiu-jitsu before, it's a different type of cardio.
Oh well,
it's
that's
like-
the thing. Since I started though, I've done everything. I didn't start doing jiu-jitsu. I met Jason and I said I wanted to fight. I've done MMA, Muay Thai, and jiu-jitsu since the day I met Jason.
Right.
We did, we work on the wall, we work on cage work, we work all the things that these other gyms should work but don't.
Right. So, and that was a question I was going to ask you. Is it, since it's like you're still amateur fighting, it's not the UFC, and you're not fighting in the same organization all the time, it's got to be hard to find footage of an opponent.
Oh yes. I'd never post my own footage. If my promoter doesn't post the footage, then I don't share it. I try to make it hard for them to find footage of me. But it's also, some people are harder to find footage, but there's usually enough. And then right now my guy, he's fought for Synergy plenty. So I've seen plenty of his fights.
Oh, okay. That's another thing is, do you think, it's harder to fight as an amateur because you're bouncing around from organization to organization, or would you prefer to like have one organization that you stick with, or do you like the kind of going from different one to different one?
I like to bounce around. I like opportunity. I like interesting opponents. We've never taken the easy opponent.
Right.
We've never turned down someone because they were too hard. I'm not getting fed people. I've been less experienced than everyone I've ever fought, every time. But
So what is your official amateur record?
4-1.
4-1.
2 titles. I won a title in Iowa, and then I won my last fight. I won a title for Knuckled Up promotion. I've heard that. 155, and that's 145.
And then we'll be at 147, kind of a catch weight tonight.
So technically, it's 152.
152. You can come on in.
So it's 152 for the
More people shuffling in.
yeah, for this next bout. It was supposed to be a catch weight of 150, but like I said, he missed weight, and so he has to re-weigh in tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Awesome.
So I'm sure I'll hear from the I'm still going whether he weighs in or not. I'm preparing like he's going to show up fresh and ready.
Right.
I'm training tonight. I'm training tomorrow. I'm doing what I got to do.
So your first time getting into the cage, what was that experience like? Can you kind of talk to the audience a little
Fucking
bit?
terrifying.
I can imagine.
So sorry. No. So my first fight was for NFA 14, I think was the number. I might be wrong on that. So I go in there, and so I'm the first fight of the night, right?
Yeah.
I got
first fight.
So we were trying. So we got turned down by several different gyms, right? So by the time we were studying one guy that got offered to us, and he still didn't say yes. And so I fought a guy who was fighting his 7th or 8th fight, right? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Just give me a fight, Jason.
Right.
And I go in, and since we're the first fight, our names are on the board for hours. It's the size of my house, my face, size. So I'm like, well, I had never had a kickboxing fight. I'd never fought. I never had a super fight. I'd never fought. We did high rollers one time. That was the closest I ever did to.
The first fight, I was the last.
Yeah,
Right.
Jason was the main event. I was the first fight. So yeah, and then I didn't get my gloves until like 10 minutes before I went out. Even though I was the first fight, and I wasn't real comfortable. I didn't know how to demand things. You know, now I know. Now I'm comfortable in the backstage.
Right.
And
Got a couple fights under the
I
belt.
didn't get to. I felt like I didn't get to warm up enough. I don't want to make excuses or anything. But I went out there and I got cut 48 seconds in with a head kick. And I saw my forehead in the mirror. Yeah, I swanned on a takedown. So we call it swanning. When you reach your arms out instead of keeping your hands in front of your face.
Right.
I swanned on a takedown, and I got kicked in the face 50. I was still dry. I was so upset. I was so disappointed in myself. I was still dry, and doctor stoppage 50 seconds in. Like I said, I still
So
got
that was the only loss of your.
that's my
only loss was the first.
That's my
fight.
only MMA loss. I've lost a kickboxing decision last March, split decision. I lost.
It happens. Hey, it happens. It happens, dude. This is a tough fucking sport, and any sport, there's got to be a loser. So,
Yes.
we always train to make sure that we're not that. So, let me ask you another question. So, did you grow up fighting in the neighborhood, or were you a school fighter, kind of the
considered
bully,
myself. I
or did
considered
somebody?
myself a little tough guy. I had a little bit of little man syndrome, and
Don't we all?
I got into like 3 fights in high school and thought I was Billy Badass. I was the classic guy. Got into a couple fights and then told everyone I was a badass and not to mess with me. I didn't know anything. It's a
Right.
good thing no one tried me. I would
Right.
have got my ass handed to me.
Actually, nobody really knew.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu gyms weren't as prevalent back then.
No, we choked each other out with the worst guillotines you could imagine.
Right.
It was funny. It was funny. My coach would have throw up watching us roll around in the yard as teenagers.
So, what do you think the hardest fight you've ever had so far? Do you have a particular opponent that you fought that was like, God damn, this is like, I'm in for it?
I didn't know it at the time, but my second MMA fight, Raymond Bushnell was probably the closest anyone came to knocking me out. My last fight, Tanner, that was a tough fight too. He hit me with some shots. I made mistakes on the feet, but I made some mistakes with Raymond, and they were painful. I still got the
Right.
win. I've finished all of my opponents. I have a 100% finish rate so far.
Awesome.
But
Do you have
that was a
more
rough one.
TKOs, or do you have more submissions?
50-50. I have 2 TKOs and 2 submissions.
Awesome. So, how old are you now? 29
I am
or
30. I'm
Officially
a big
30?
3-0. I'm an old man in this sport, unfortunately.
Right. It's definitely a young guy's
It
game.
is.
You know,
I think this
30
kid
in
I'm fighting is
MMA.
like 23, 24 or something like that. I fought a 19-year-old once.
Right. Hey, as long as you're winning, you know.
My coach is 47 in a month.
47 and what is today?
Yeah, it's the fourth,
The
the
second,
third,
or today's
the
the
third.
third.
So in 12,
Yeah.
13 days. 13 days, my coach turns 47, still competing, still beating my ass every day.
Right. But Jason Powell is a different type of 47.
He's not a human.
Exactly.
He's from Mars. That's what I've always decided.
Yeah, most guys at 47 are not doing what Jason's doing. They're not black belts, and they're not former military.
We're getting
and
in the low kick championship. You put that on record right now. I'm getting him in the low kick championship. There is not a person on earth that can beat Jay, except for maybe Thiago Alves. But
I actually got the opportunity to meet Thiago Alves when I went down and interviewed Dakota at American Top Team. I didn't even recognize the dude when I walked in there. Dakota told me, he's like, oh, yeah, it's Thiago Alves. I'm like,
a lot of them look different in person.
yeah, you don't recognize him.
I've seen a lot of fighters, and I haven't been told,
Yeah.
so and so.
I'm like, I was just standing right next to the dude.
He turned 40. He put on 37 pounds without knowing it.
Right. So, 30 years old in MMA, what is that like? Does that ever kind of bother you in your head? Like, man, I'm getting old, or do you channel that out?
Well, that's a waste of energy.
Right.
I don't put energy in anything that isn't helpful in my life. I
Right.
put my energy in making money and getting better.
And winning fights.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. No, that's a good mentality, because you do hear that a
I
lot.
started training at 26, and I was still one of the older kids in here. You know,
Right.
I still consider myself a kid at 26, but I was still one of the older ones in here. And now people come in, they're still 21, 20, and I'm like, man, however far you want us to get you, man, just let us take you there, as you're young enough.
Do you have a particular goal in mind that you're trying to reach with fighting? Is there UFC implications? Are you trying to make it there?
So I'm
like that?
30 and I'm still an amateur. 99% chance never making it to the UFC. If PFL lasts, then maybe then there's a chance of PFL or Bellator. I don't know if either one is gonna last. They're both, yeah. So neither one of them.
PFL is Bellator. Or,
Neither one of them. All their fighters are talking about not getting fights. So right now the goal is to just see where we get. Going pro eventually. I'm not putting any timeline or date on that. I'm in no rush. I'm 30, but I have the rest of my life to be a professional. You only get to be an amateur once. So that's why I fight as often as I do. That's why because you can take these risks. I can do 4-week camps. I'm not doing a 4-week camp for my pro debut.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
No, I don't blame you. With jiu-jitsu, is that your favorite martial art, or do you like striking more than grappling, or?
I like them all, but I love them. I even love wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
Might not be my greatest strength, but I enjoy it. There's nothing I don't like. There's nothing I don't want to learn and want to get better. Everything I'm not good at frustrates me, right? It frustrates me that I have to have a specific style. I wish I could just do whatever I wanted. I wish I could be good enough to do whatever. I wish I could do sideways stance. I wish I could do in and out. I wish I could do it all, but nobody can. So I have to stick to my strengths.
Right. Do you have I know you do a lot of jiu-jitsu. Do you have like any goals or accomplishments strictly in jiu-jitsu, like a world championship or a PANS championship or anything like that?
When I get done fighting, I will do jiu-jitsu forever.
Just focus on that kind of
I'll
stuff.
train it all. I'll imagine I'll be a light version of Jason. Probably not going to be nearly as intense or long-lasting as Jason. I'm not going to fight as long as Jason, but I'll do jiu-jitsu till I'm in a wheelchair.
Right.
And then, yeah, I'll compete in jiu-jitsu because they have masters and all that good stuff. So they have everything that we could ever need. But I love striking so much. I'm like a little crackhead, man.
So, I guess, you got to be super excited, a little bit nervous for tomorrow. Hopefully,
the nerves.
who's your
there.
opponent for tomorrow again?
Chandler McAtee is how you pronounce his name.
Where's he out of?
He's out of Nixa, Missouri.
Nixa? Okay.
I asked. Apparently, there's
he's
something
from-
going on. I don't
hometown
know what's
favorite.
going on with him. I don't know what gym he trains out of, and that's none of my business nor my concern. I'm only concerned about the violence I'm going to portray onto him tomorrow.
Okay. And are you guys the main event on the main card, or is it?
I'm the 8th amateur fight on the card. I'm the last fight on the undercard. After me is the title fights and the pros.
Cool.
So I'm essentially the highest spot that I could get on the undercard, which a year and a half ago, I was the first fight and the second fight. And now I've done 2 main events, and now I'm as high as up as I could be. All their titles are, all their title pictures are kind of tied up right now. So that's why a title shot wasn't even in the conversation. And I wanted to fight. I'm healthy. I'm ready. I'm in shape. My weight's good. I want to get after it. So
You said you started training around 25, 26 years old.
26 and a half.
Had some scraps back in high school. Did you know back in high school, like, hey, I want to be a fighter? Were you into the UFC and
I've
that
always,
stuff back then?
I've always wanted it, but none of my friends, I didn't have anyone around me that wanted to train. Right, I moved up to St. Louis
That's pretty common.
Right after high school, and nothing changed. No one wanted to train. I watched UFC every day. I kept up. I was a nerd with the stats and everything else. I could tell you.
So
all
you're
the stuff.
always super into it.
Oh yeah, I've always loved the stuff, and I tried training at 21. Went to a terrible gym. It was completely impersonal. They think I owe them money over some stupid stuff. I didn't cancel my subscription properly. I moved, but didn't tell whatever.
Fuck 'em.
So it completely threw me off of training. I was like, man, this is how gyms are. This is how this is. And then I came in here one day and met Jason, and I never left.
Right. No, you found a good home. Found a really good home. And I was talking to somebody about this, just the other day, how lucky people are to that these type of gyms are even around, because like other sports don't have high level coaches. Like, just take any sport. Like, we'll just take golf. The probability that a guy that played on the PGA Tour for 25 years and was like a major champion, the likelihood that he would go start a gym and teach kids in his community how to play golf every night, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in baseball. It doesn't happen in soccer. It doesn't happen in football. Jiu-jitsu is like that. You can go to a gym and you can actually train with the best guys in the world at any given time. You can work with a black belt, a high-level black belt, somebody that's competed at the top tier and train with. Like, there's a photo with you and Matt Hughes right there. Like, it don't get any better than that, and like, especially being a part of like the Vaggie gym and Vaggie community, like that's, in my opinion, I think the Vaggie school is the best in our area. And we're extremely fortunate to even be a part of that, because, if you were to put Rodrigo compared to like another sport, he's like the Albert Pujols. You know, that learning from him would be like if you're a baseball player, it'd be like Albert Pujols coming to a gym every night and showing kids how to play baseball.
It's one of the cooler things about martial arts. So, we went to High Rollers. We got to meet Stephan Bonner just a few months before he passed. Rest in peace. I've gotten to meet several UFC fighters, especially the first few times. I'm fanboying out over like someone with no ranking. I'm like, what's up?
Yeah, I seen you on TV one time.
And then they're always more open to talk to you because you're a competitor,
right?
And so that was something, especially from being just a fan watching it from the couch for so long. Then it's so cool. I've gotten to meet so many of my jiu-jitsu stars. My girlfriend got to get a picture with her favorite jiu-jitsu sorry, Jasmine Rocha.
They were the same bracket.
Yeah, they were even in the same. They almost got a chance to compete against each other.
And it's actually
wouldn't have been great,
like,
but
the cool thing about it is, you know, you can go to a jiu-jitsu tournament. You know, you can go to Worlds, you can go to Pans, and you can see all these top level guys and ADCCs.
And all the stars are at these ADCC Opens. Man, I've seen people.
But if you went to the World Series of baseball, what's the likelihood that you would meet Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Judge or somebody that's even remotely fucking good? You wouldn't make it, you know. And that's something. Yeah, and that was another thing. Like, there's not a lot of money in this sport. It's getting better, but I was worried, you know, if jiu-jitsu continues to grow and MMA continues to grow and these guys do start to make like real NFL and NHL money, what's the likely? Do you think they would start to shy away from running the schools? You thought about, you know,
because
like, if you had 50 million from fighting, right?
So yeah, the top guys are it's probably going to be hard to see them teaching white belts. But the thing about especially jiu-jitsu, maybe not MMA, but jiu-jitsu and wrestling, 90% of the spectators are family members and participants. So that is the curse of jiu-jitsu. As much as everyone wants jiu-jitsu to get huge, I just don't think it ever will without something else. And then combat jiu-jitsu isn't taking off.
Sanctioning body.
Mm-hmm.
Where the rules are the same.
Right.
And just get rid of IBJJF.
Is that camera still rolling? It's not overheating or anything? Everything looks good? Okay. Yeah, so sometimes these cameras, they just act fucking goofy. But anyway, so yeah, had to go on my little jiu-jitsu tangent there. How long do you think you'll fight? Do you have an idea? Is there an age in mind, or is it just...
No, that's another one of those wasteful energy things.
I'm gonna let your body kind of tell you when you've had enough.
I'm gonna let my body decide. Right now, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. I wasn't a healthy teenager. I partied a lot. I didn't feel good in the times of my life when I was supposed to be a healthy, strapping teenager. So now that I'm a healthy adult, I feel amazing. So we'll see how it goes. You know, maybe I'll get hurt. Maybe I'll slow down. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll keep pushing. Maybe I'll go pro sooner than later. It all depends. I don't write anything in stone, and I don't say anything will never happen. I try to avoid never.
So I know Jason's your coach now, and has been your coach for the past several years. Did you play any other sports growing up that, you know, maybe a particular person or coach had a lasting impact on you, or is Jason the main person that has made the biggest impact on your life thus far?
I played sports in elementary and middle school. Didn't play sports in high school. Like I was just a partier.
Right. Kind of like me.
little burnout kid. So yeah, Jason, I would say he's the only coach I've ever had. He asked me on my first day, because he's like, who was your Muay Thai coach? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, how do you not know who your Muay Thai coach was? I was like, we had a different one every day, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
They didn't know my name.
So you would say, you know, pretty much of everyone, Jason definitely had the most impact on your career and on your life.
Yeah.
Me
and Jason spend a lot of time together.
I
see that. Him and my old lady, I see the most.
Right. And she's a good jiu-jitsu athlete.
She's spectacular.
And what's her ranking? Does she have a ranking right now?
Oh,
she was like number 1, wasn't she? Number 3.
White belt at Fuji white belt, she was number 1 in the nation. ADCC, she was number 3 in the nation. She's only competed a couple times at blue belt. This past year was hard financially, so we didn't get to do that much jiu-jitsu.
Right.
It cost money, and it was just a rough year.
Tournaments are a little pricey.
Yeah, $100, $150, and travel and whatnot. So we didn't get to do as many as we wanted to. I don't think I got to do any ADCC last year. So this year hopefully we'll do better. Hopefully we'll be able to compete more in jiu-jitsu. She's hungry. She wants to get after it. She had 2 super fights in cages. She went 1-1. She lost in overtime to a wrestler to a bullshit ass takedown.
Right.
And then she crushed this girl. Very nice girl. Nothing bad to say about her. She's a nice girl. Tough as nails. But she put the whooping on her.
It happens. That's unfortunately just kind of the nature of this sport.
The nature of the game.
Somebody might get your number.
I've seen some blood-curdling screams from grown-ass men.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Well, so tomorrow night, in action. Hopefully it all goes down.
Hopefully. I'm ready. I'm just going to... That's like I said, thinking about that is a waste of... I've already put too much energy into that, right?
Yeah,
thinking about whether or not he's going to make weight. So in my mind, I'm guaranteed he's going to make weight, and I'm guaranteed I'm going to whoop his ass, and that's all that matters in life.
Right. So you don't have like any... what do they call that? Superstitions, any like routines the night before?
Oh, no. That's the worst thing. The worst thing you could do is have superstitions in martial arts, because then if something that has nothing to do with your fight happens, then it's going to fuck with your head. And the mental part is probably way more important than the physical part.
Right.
He's worried about making weight right now.
Right. No shit.
I ate a big old meal, spaced out throughout the entire day after weigh-ins, and I'm going to eat a burger tonight with some baked fries, nothing greased, and I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast tomorrow. Light.
You're going to be coming in feeling real good.
Oh yeah, I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to show up and put on a fucking show.
Awesome.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, no shit. So with these smaller organizations and stuff like that, what's the drug testing like? Is that something you worry about?
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist?
I've never been drug tested.
Is it something that you really care about?
Not really. I'm clean. If I fight someone that's not clean at the amateur level, so be it. If you're going to destroy your body for a fucking amateur title, then you're rough. Like,
right.
It's just the amateurs, man. We're just amateurs. Like, when people throw their mouthpiece, bro, no one cares.
Dude,
no one wants that gross fucking thing.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Marcus, it was a pleasure talking to you. You got anything else you want to add to it before we go?
He said in an interview that he was going to TKO me, right?
This is your guy for...
Yeah. He said, because I read an interview with this kid. I won't mention his name because he never interviews me, so fuck him. So he said that he thinks he's going to finish me on the feet. Well, get in line, bitch. Every opponent I've ever had has had the exact same fucking game plan. What the fuck makes this bitch think he's any different? That's all it took for it to be personal for me. Fuck him.
Awesome. You heard it here, straight on the Garbage to Gold podcast. That wraps it up, Marcus. Thank you for sitting with us. Good luck tomorrow. Took us a couple of months to get this freaking podcast going. I've been talking about interviewing you for a while.
Let me get a couple more fights in, dude. We'll do another one.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And yeah, I was wanting to make it to the fight tomorrow night, but with the fucking weather coming in, I'm like, knowing my luck, I'll hit some ice and crash and die. So I don't want to do that. We're
taking a front-wheel drive car. I'm not even taking my truck.
Right. All right. Well, Jason, you gonna hop in here? All right. So Mike Rogers, he's probably one of the more decorated and respected coaches in all of martial arts, especially in St. Louis. What was it like, training under him for, however many years?
It's awesome. So when I first started at St. Charles, I mean, it was a who's who of guys there. EJ Brooks was in Bellator. Sampo and Alp were in the UFC, and frick, I can't remember his name now. It was Strikeforce. There's a ton of guys. You had to come in and show up and work hard, or you're going to get your ass whooped.
Right.
And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, SCMMA is known for that. Like that's just it's a tough place to go, even for like just jujitsu solely. Like every time I go in there and train, I'm like, I pull up in the parking lot, and I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm like, back then I was basically a functioning alcoholic, so I was a little thicker. So I would always have to go with EJ and Adam Meredith and Kyle Cooley and all those big guys. And they would just toss me around.
Yeah, I was there last Friday morning, and I'm kind of like rolling around, and I see somebody out of the corner of my eye that looked exactly like Tyron Woodley, and I'm like, I think that was Tyron Woodley. I look over again,
Wouldn't
and I'm like,
surprise me.
that is 100% Tyron Woodley right over there. And then I'm like, should I fangirl? No, I'll just pretend that I don't see him. But
I don't
just,
fangirl anymore very often. I did fangirl when we were in Vegas for Worlds. I literally got off the plane. I took 10 steps, and there was DC, Daniel Cormier.
Oh, okay.
I walked up, and I was like, yo! I shook his hand. I walked up like I fucking knew him, just shook his hand.
He's probably used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's a really big name.
Nobody else knew who the fuck he was. It was crazy.
Yeah, you're like, hey,
Crazy.
everybody, do you know who this is?
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, man. But I mean, DC kind of looks like a normal fucking dude. So
Yeah. So what were you doing before you got into jiu-jitsu?
I was in the Army.
In the Army? And where are you originally from?
So my dad was in the Army, so I'm kind of like a military brat. So I was like all over. So
Okay, so you're not originally from like
no,
Rolla,
so I
Missouri?
went to school here, but
Okay.
not Rolla, down in Lakeway. But yeah, I've been all over. So
Okay.
yeah.
And you're 47 now. 47 years, been to the Army. So you went to high school here in Rolla or
Lakeway.
Lakeway, where's that at?
It's about 10, 15 minutes south of Fort Leonard Wood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before Richland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I guess
shithole town.
was your dad stationed at
Fort Leonard Wood.
Fort Leonard Wood? Okay. Is your dad still around?
I don't. Yeah, I don't talk to my dad much, but
Don't talk to him?
Yeah, we kind of have a what is that called? Estranged relationship, I guess that's what it's called. Yeah, I mean, he has his ways of doing things. I have my ways of doing things. So,
Right.
it is what it is. We just butt heads, like most, headstrong individuals do. So yeah, he's still down in Lakeway, living his life, and I'm up here doing this. So
Awesome. Do you think that relationship kind of affects the way that I don't want to say affects, but like has kind of molded the way that you coach and kind of your intensity and like?
no, I am an intense motherfucker.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It doesn't
definitely one
matter
of
if
the
I'm
most
putting peanut butter on toast or fighting. I am 100% all the time.
Were you like that before the military? Or
Always
the military
been this
kind of
way.
been that way?
Always. I have ADHD and fucking PTSD, and I've got all the letters of the alphabet.
Right.
I don't ever stop moving. They'll tell you, even when I'm cutting weight, I'm like fucking moving all the time. I can't help myself.
No, it's good for this sport. You are intense, but even like like the kids classes and stuff, I think it's good for them. I've seen like some kids classes where they're like, whatever, they're not, but you're very structured. There's a lot of, you can tell there's some military background there, and I think it really helps the kids understand, how to stay in line and to be focused and that it's serious. Hey, we're here to win. We're not here just to
for me, it's
play
kind of
around.
like it's kind of like one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of things, And I've been fortunate. I've been able to train to a lot of different places, so I know I've seen good coaches. I've seen bad coaches, for me, anytime anybody walks in my doors in this building, I want them to be a better person when they leave than they were when they came in. Not saying that they're shitty ass people when they walk in, but I want them to be better when they leave here. So discipline, respect, all that's real big here. Situational awareness, because ultimately, winning belts and gold medals and championships is great, but this is really for self-defense purposes. It's what it was meant for. So you have to have situational awareness. You have to be respectful. You have to know what you can and can't do in certain situations. So that starts from 5 years old all the way up into, we got a guy that's 66 in here. So everybody follows the same rules. It doesn't matter. You could be a D1 wrestler. You could never train here before. Everyone gets the same rules and treated the same.
Do you think that the sport of jiu-jitsu overall is headed in a good direction, or do you think it's How do you feel about where it's at as a organization?
I first off, let me just say that I absolutely fucking love jiu-jitsu. It saved my life, not just in combat, but mentally, emotionally. It saved my life. I think that we have some issues as far as there's too many rule sets, too many different places. There's too many chiefs and not enough fucking Indians, man.
Right.
And it's always going to be that way because there's a lot of money to be made in jiu-jitsu by exploiting people.
Right.
And that's what a lot of gyms do. There's a lot of gyms that are belt factories where you get promoted based on your attendance. That is not what we do here. It's a running joke that this gym is one of the hardest places to get a promotion in.
Yeah.
And that's only because when my athletes get promoted, I want them to be. I don't need them to dominate the next belt rank or the next division, but they need to go in there and not get their ass whooped. They need to be competitive.
I think that's how it should be, because the reason jiu-jitsu has made it to on the world stage is because of its effectiveness in 100%, fights. 100%. And if you water it down, these guys are going to come to these gyms, or these girls or whoever it is come into these gyms, and then they go and try to apply it in the street, and then they get beat down. It's like, well, what the fuck? If you can't put an armbar under pressure, you don't know how to do an armbar.
There's a reason some of these gyms don't compete, and there's a reason some of these gyms don't have open mats open to everyone else. I'm not going to say any names. You know who you are.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know who they are. I've trained at a lot of different gyms, even just in St. Louis. And I know that there's a difference between how Boggy and his affiliates do it versus other people. Not taking anything away from anybody, but when you go to a different gym and they haven't been a part of the Boggy, and how he rolls, and how Mike and just the black belts at that level go about it, it's a lot chill, way more chill. It's like, hey, it's almost like a club. Yeah,
like a little club. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what everyone in your building wants to do.
I don't want to go to jiu-jitsu class and talk.
That doesn't happen here.
I want to train.
You know that.
Yeah.
I don't let people take breaks.
Yeah.
Like most jiu-jitsu videos that you see on Instagram or TikTok or whatever the hell it is that you're looking at, you see all kinds of people sitting around.
Chilling,
you
talking.
You never see that here. I don't allow it.
No, you don't. You're like, hey, what the fuck are you guys talking for?
We got an hour. Get the fuck up. Let's go.
Because I usually, I live out in Sullivan, so I have to drive. At least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour to get to a gym. I'm not going to drive an hour to sit and talk. I don't fucking care.
It's a waste of time. And to me, that's stealing your money.
Yeah. We can talk after. Yeah. We can talk after. But yeah. So I like the way you guys go about it here. You guys are very competition based, and, I think that's the way it should be, because like I said, if you can't put an armbar under some pressure, then you can't do an armbar.
Exactly.
And, I think it's the best way to preserve jiu-jitsu and make sure that it stays on top.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think there's a lot of focus too now, especially because social media. But dude, social media it's going to destroy the world. But that's a whole nother fucking topic. But with so much social media, everyone's trying to find the next cool move. And dude, cool moves don't fucking win championships. The basics win championships.
Fundamentals.
Gordon Ryan, I know he's juiced to the gills, whatever. But everyone he competes against is also juiced to the gills. But he doesn't do anything flashy. Everything he does is white belt level. He just does it better than anyone in the fucking world.
Yeah. No, and I think that's important. And I was talking to Kirk Huff. I interviewed him.
Kirk Huff.
he's funny, dude. Dude, we were just down.
Don't hassle the Huff, brother.
We were just down in New Orleans fucking 2 weeks ago, and I stayed in that hotel right there on the corner of Bourbon Street.
I know. Fuck. I saw. I keep up with Kirk because he's no bullshit, man. Kirk and I have been teammates for a long time. We're like a yin and yang. Mm-hmm. Personality wise, Kirk totally is quiet. Different. I'm loud as fuck. Jiu-jitsu even. Kirk is everything Kirk is amazing at, I'm okay at. Right. And everything I'm amazing at, Kirk's okay at. We're like the fucking yin. I loved training. He made me so much better when I trained with him. Yeah. Because everything I was shitty at, he was good at. So I had to catch up, or he was just going to beat me up.
Yeah, I like Kirk too.
Yeah.
I trained at his gym for a while before we ever even like talked to each other. I just kind of assumed he didn't like me and like didn't.
No,
want
that's
me
just
there.
Kirk.
But that's just how
I've
he
known
rolls.
Kirk for fucking over 10 years, and we still like when we talk, it's just like, hey, yeah. And then we're fucking done. You know,
That's how
it's
it
not like
is.
we call each other every week or nothing.
But so you spent most of your time training under Mike Rogers, and like, what do you think makes him different as a coach? Why do you think he's able to produce such high level athletes?
First of all, Mike is probably the most patient fucking guy I've ever met in my life. He is one of the most dangerous people in the world, as far as like hand to hand combat goes. But he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and he's very welcoming. And dude, his knowledge base is just ridiculous. You're talking, you know, he wrestled at a high level. He was a Golden Gloves champion. You know, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's just a monster of a human being.
Yeah.
He's very good at being patient with his athletes, and he uses what works for him. Just like
Right.
I'm not very patient, right? But what I do is works for me.
Right.
You know, and he's very good at it. It's just being Mike. You know, Mike is so fucking knowledgeable. He's forgot more about jiu-jitsu than I know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's just so fucking. It's unless you've been around Mike and watched him teach, you won't be able to comprehend it.
Right. Yeah, I haven't got to spend a lot of time with him. I'd like to potentially interview him. I know that he did a podcast not too long ago with the guy that has the Easy Talk podcast. I don't know his name, but I do watch the podcast here and there. He gets all the interviews that I want to get.
Yeah, he's doing a real good job.
Yeah.
Arion. Yeah, he's doing a real good job.
But so you're a coach in jiu-jitsu. You're also still, doing some professional fighting, amateur fighting, whatever. How do you classify it?
I'm a pro.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're a pro fighter. Okay, yeah, black belt. When it comes to just jiu-jitsu and like teaching people at the gym, is there a particular a style or a path to progress, do you think, or is it just
So one of the things that makes me different than a lot of coaches, I think, is I don't try to mold anybody into anything. Like I don't for instance, country, right? We think differently. We're built differently. We grew up differently. I'm not trying to make him like me.
right?
Okay, it's not going to work. So the way I approach it is, this is a martial art. You're the artist. You paint your own fucking masterpiece. I'm just going to give you the paints.
No, I like that. So
I've
it's-
had coaches try to mold me to be like them.
Right.
One guy I was training with for a little while. He God-given cardio. I don't have that. I've got cardio, but I don't have God-given cardio. He never got tired. I've got power. He didn't. So he
Right.
tried to get me to move like him, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. Plus, he was 8 inches taller than me too.
right.
You know, it's not going to work.
I think that's another thing, we talked about comparing jiu-jitsu to like other sports, and I think that's a really cool thing, like what you just said, how you don't really have a system that you teach anybody. You just
No. I do have a system that I teach, but everything I teach, like for instance, if we go into a triangle choke, right there, I have 3 things to the left of it, 3 things at the triangle, 3 things over here. So you can go back and forth, and you grab whatever you want, what you feel more comfortable with.
Right.
It all comes from the same pool. You're just pulling from it what you want.
right.
So there is a system, but I'm
Right.
not telling you what submission to take from that position.
Yeah, no,
If that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But like if you were to go to like a baseball coach or somebody, and you're like, I want to learn how to pitch, that coach might say, well, this is how you pitch, even though there's 12 different ways
Yeah,
to
he'll
pitch.
pitch the way he
He's gonna
pitches.
say, no, this is how I do it. And if you don't do it that way, then it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you run into do you think MMA and jiu-jitsu is different than that? Like,
Depends on your coach.
right.
Depends on your coach. And the best guys in the world have coaches that have a system, but they mold that system around their athlete. It's like when I teach, I have to be able to read the room.
Right.
When I come in to teach, I have a game plan of what I want to go over that night or that week or that month or whatever.
Right.
But when people come in, like for instance, if I walk in on a Monday night and I've got 17 new guys, I can't go over
Spider guard.
the end of whatever I was teaching last week.
Right.
We have to kind of backstep it just a little bit. And that's not a bad thing, because what that does is it makes my more experienced athletes go over it again,
Right.
and continue to work on the little nuances that are super, super important, right? So like I do things like that, or like in order to get a purple belt under me, you have to teach.
Okay.
You don't get a purple belt here unless you teach, because it makes you a better athlete. And you as a purple belt, you need to be able to articulate what the hell's going on if a white belt asks you.
Right.
Or you know this, if you're a white belt in my gym, you don't get to tell anyone anything. You're not allowed to teach.
I just keep my mouth shut.
Because you don't know. You know, it'd be like me coming and telling you how to do a podcast. I don't know anything about this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
no, it makes sense.
I have those, those kind of rules. They're not, they're not for everybody. I've got a giant stack of waivers of people that, just didn't like it here, and that's fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
No, it's not for everybody. I tell people all the time that they should do jujitsu. I think that it's part of being a man, that you should be able to get in here and feel what it's like to get beat up by somebody a little bit smaller than
100%.
you, and just be humble. Realize that, hey, you're not Jean-Claude Van Damme, but you're also not Pee Wee Herman.
Yep, 100%. You're not made out of glass.
Right. That's what jujitsu taught me, is like, hey, you're not that tough, but you're also not the biggest bitch.
No.
No. So, but yeah, I think every guy should be doing martial arts, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, a little bit of striking, just for as crazy as the fucking world is right now, man. Like, dude, me and my dad get into this argument all the time. He's like, why you want to fucking be fighting and rolling around? Why do you carry a gun? Do you not watch the fucking news? Like,
I'm a combat veteran. I'm a pro fighter, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I carry a gun everywhere I go.
Exactly, dude. So back to your fighting career.
Yes.
How many fights have you had?
Oh, shit. Let's just go pro.
Okay.
If we went amateur, we'd be here for a week trying to figure that shit out, because I got amateur MMA fights, amateur K1 fights. I got Army combatives fights, a ton of shit. So I am 2-4 as a pro. And let me just stop right there before everyone's like 2-4. It sucks. I was when I got out of the Army, I basically lost my identity. I was in a great gym with great teammates and great coaches, but I wasn't here.
Right.
I drank all the time, made a lot of, life mistakes. Like I said, I came out of the Army. That's all I was doing for, forever. I was a combat veteran, got out of the Army, had no guidance, no, hey man, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And took a lot of fights I shouldn't have. Then my mom passed, and I lived in a bottle for 2 years. And I took 3 fights during that time. I literally off the couch.
Yeah.
A promoter would call me, be like, "Yo, you want to fight?" It'd be a Wednesday. You want to
Right.
fight on Saturday? This guy's 175 pounds. Yeah, whatever. Let's go.
Sure.
So but now I got Jason Cooper's making sure that I don't take those kind of stupid fights, because I got called the other day and they're like, "Hey man, you want to do a boxing match? 185 pounds, I'll give you $5,000." And I'm like, man, $5,000. Coop's
Right.
like, no, you don't weigh 185 pounds right now.
Right.
So yeah, so we're
Do you have a particular weight that you like to fight at?
so 45 and 55. I can still make 45, but it's just not fun.
Yeah, it's tough.
So and I'm strong enough and I got enough technique that I can fight at 55. So it depends on the promotion and the opportunity at what weight.
Who was the toughest fight that you've ever had?
Myself.
You?
Yep.
Yourself? Makes sense.
Yep.
Do you have a particular opponent that you would put, maybe second? The hardest fight, your hardest real, fight outside
Javon
of
Wright.
Javon Wright.
That was a good fight between the two of us. We were the two guys in the state at the time. Number 1, number 2. Yeah, I won't get into too much into the weeds in that one, but yeah, that was a great fight.
What year was that?
Oh shit,
Been a while?
2010.
2010?
Yeah.
Nice. No, that's cool. I like
It's been
to
a
ask,
while.
I like to ask guys, like, what was your toughest fight? Some people say,
Javon's getting ready to fight this weekend for a bare knuckle championship.
Oh, no
he's
shit.
he's still doing it too, man.
Damn.
So I'm real happy for him. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Do you have a what's your favorite, martial art? Like, I know you're
Jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu 100%. In Muay Thai would be.
I love Muay Thai.
Muay Thai
I
right
like
there.
to kick people in the leg.
Yeah,
It's fun.
that's awesome. So, did you grow up fighting like before?
No, I was actually a baseball player. I did. Actually played semi-pro baseball for 2 years.
Did you get in any fights at school?
I got into one fight in school. I was terrified to get in a fight because my dad was very strict. So if I got in trouble, getting in trouble in school was no big deal. Getting in trouble at home was a big deal. So I just let people run over me. And then 1 year, a kid hit me with a fucking folding chair, like WWE style. So I speared his ass through a wall and then mounted him and beat the shit out of him until people drug me off of him. And then I never got in a fight again after that in high school.
At what point did you decide, hey, I want to be a fighter?
So
when did that come around?
When I got back from OIF 1, I got really big into lifting weights. And then when I was in Afghanistan, I had a buddy of mine that I used to drag to this tent that had weights in it, and I made him lift weights with me. And he was a boxer, and he found another tent that had some heavy bags in it. And he's like, hey, we're going to go hit these heavy bags. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that bullshit. I just want to lift heavy weights.
Right.
And he drugged me out there, and I was hitting the heavy bag, and he's like, dude, you're fucking natural. And then I looked over, and another guy was doing jujitsu, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
That was over in Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan, yeah.
Wow.
And then when I got back from Afghanistan, I was like, I'm going to fucking learn how to do this shit. So I went to a gym down by Fort Leonard Wood, and it was dirty. I didn't like it. So I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do. Then I went to all places. I went to a Glicks to go buy some tap-out shirts, even though
Glicks used to sell.
Even though I wasn't fighting yet. I wasn't even training. But I was like, I need to get me some tap-out shirts.
Yeah, dude.
So, and I still have those tap-out shirts. So there was a fucking flyer on the door that said MMA fights in Lebanon. So I was like, well, and Hoist Gracie was going to be there.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, fuck, dude, I'm going to go check this out. When I'm there, I'm watching in the stands, and one of the guys fighting I went to high school with was fighting, and he was training under Bart Geyer, who was Matt Hughes' jiu-jitsu coach at Militich Fighting Systems.
Okay.
That Monday, I walked in his door, and here the fuck we are, man.
Damn. And that was down in Lebanon?
Lebanon, Missouri. Yep, 2007.
Are they still down
2008.
there?
No, they're gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
I was
gone.
gonna say,
Yep.
I remember
So one of the running jokes in our gym here is that they call me the Baba Yaga because I'm the fucking boogeyman. Like, and I get it. You know, I have a losing record, and I'm old as shit. Nobody wants to lose to an old guy.
Right.
And it's not like I'm not skilled. You know, I have fucking
Yeah.
black belt in jiu-jitsu, and so yeah,
I
And
wouldn't want to fight you.
It was the same way as an AMI though too. I had probably 30 guys pull out
Yeah.
of fights as an AMI. So I do have a fight coming up. And as soon as contracts are signed, I'll let everybody know.
And a Masters ADCC Worlds. Potentially.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you very much for sitting
Appreciate
down
you,
with
brother.
me. I look forward to doing it again.
Hell yeah, man.